In this how-to video for Rvinyl, you're going to see how to wrap the front fender of a vehicle using this color change film and tools from Rvinyl. The first step is to clean. Spray Rapid Prep on a highly absorbent microfiber towel, take a tucking tool and place it inside the microfiber towel and go after all the tight gaps. Start at one point on the front fender and do a 360-degree loop, working from one point all the way around back to it. This can mean opening up the hood to remove dust from the inside section there, as well as the front door, as a lot of dirt and oil can build up on this inside gap. So work from top to bottom and be extra focused here. Once all the outside edges are clean, then it's time to clean the main surface area. Spray Rapid Prep on the microfiber towel one more time, and then wipe it down from top to bottom. Now with the cleaning process done, it's time to move on to the next prep stage, which is masking tape. In this case, there's a raised object on the top of the front fender, so placing masking tape right at the edge will help the material tuck into this gap. It's always a good idea to put some on the A-pillar, as well as the bottom section where the front headlight is, and those tight gaps. Once all the masking tape is set up, now the wrapping process can begin. Place the piece on the fender with magnets, then take a snitty and cut the material safely away. This means the knife won't touch the surface and there's no damage to the vehicle. Now with the material prepped and trimmed, it's time to release the liner. Here, starting at the top, release it roughly 6 or 7 inches. Fold the material under, no need to cut it. Then, once the material is creased and laying flat, pick the material up and hook the upper corner. This will lock it in place, and by starting at the corners of the top, this means there'll be better quality. No tension. Lock it into the upper body line of the fender, then pull the liner low and flat underneath the vinyl. This means there's no dust coming onto the adhesive side, which will help keep a high quality finish. Once the liner has been removed from the main section, it's time to glass it out. This means creating no wrinkles on the film. Pick it up nice and high and pull it along the body line nice and even. So pull from top and bottom, and once it hits the body line with even tension, lay it flat and lock it in with a thumb. Now release the rest of the liner and pull towards the corner. By pulling towards all the corner, the material will have a wrinkle-free state. Once it's wrinkle-free, always apply the recessed areas first. This is called the palm technique, which was invented by the Rap Institute. By doing the palm technique, this means there'll be no adhesive lines, so the quality of the finish will be great. So once the film is locked into this upper recessed area, now you can come back and finish the corners with the Avery Dennison Flex Stream. Pick the material up high and then hook the corner. This will mean the corners will be extra flat and look like paint. So once the top section is finished, then it's time to squeegee any remaining air out from underneath the film using a monkey strip on a squeegee, then lock in the top edge. For this raised object here, safely and lightly cut on the masking tape. This is what's called a relief cut. Make sure that if you have very little cutting experience, then make sure you hold the material away from the surface while you make this cut. Once the excess film has been pulled away from the top section, now the material can be relaxed safely to the base. Never bridge the material and jam it to a raised object. This will overstretch the film and cause adhesive lines. Squeegee on the top section of the raised object from left to right, then squeegee back towards the raised object. Here, the material can then be relaxed underneath it and then tucked to the base. So relief cuts are absolutely critical for quality. Once the raised object is set, now it's time to relax the film around the lower section of the front fender by the wheel well. Pick the material up, and in this case, it has a rubber molding at the base. The material should be then picked up and tucked into the base, not bridged and pushed in. It's all about relaxing, so the free hand keeps the material away while the film is relaxed. Now the film can then be tucked deep into the base using the hard side of the squeegee and a flex stream. It's very important to take the film as deep as you can, and that's where the masking tape has its role. The low surface energy allows the film to safely glide to the base without tension, where it can then be cut away. Always use a very sharp blade and keep the angle of the blade at a 10-degree angle towards the surface. This means it will be held safely by the edge of the raised object and won't cut the paint below it. Make sure you always cut towards yourself and never away. Once all the excess film has been cut away, retract the blade and pull the excess film away from the raised object and immediately tuck it in with the tucking tool. With all the material safely on the main surface of the front fender, It's now time to cut away the excess film on the edges. Always go around with a heat gun to relax the film on the edges, cut the corners first, and when possible always allow the blade to be guided along the edge on the opposite side of the front fender. This will allow around 1/4 inch of film that can then be wrapped around. This is for full coverage, so the color wraps around the fender as well as for extra hold. For this tight gap at the bottom, make sure the tip of the blade is just barely beneath the film so you don't cut the body. Once the cuts are made, remove the excess film and then immediately come in with the Avery Dennison flex stream if there's a tight gap with molding. Otherwise, in this case, open the door, then with a heat gun and application glove, form the film gently around the edge to avoid overstretching and to ensure that tight seal. Once that section has been applied, work to another section. This tight gap by the front bumper and front fender should be tucked in. Again, the masking tape allows the film to slide safely deep into the gap. Run the blade just in the middle of the gap. Don't never cut directly on the surface. Then remove the excess film and immediately come back in and seal the deal. Now we move on to the headlight, and here the excess film is being cut away about 1/8 of an inch on the inside portion where the edge of the headlight ends. This will allow extra material to be tucked safely into the gap for full coverage. And once the cut has been made, come back in with the Avery Dennison flex stream and, because it's so soft it conforms easily to the curve of the top, then takes the material safely inside the gap between the front fender and the front headlight. Once all this is tucked in safely, now we can move into the top section. Here, by cutting on the opposite side, alongside the hood, that 1/4 inch excess material is then tucked into the gap for full coverage and hold. Run a finger with application glove, then run a squeegee deep into the gap to seal the edge. Very straightforward. And now we get to finishing, which is simply spraying the surface and wiping it down with a microfiber towel to remove any handprints and also double check that all the edges are sealed. And now you know how to wrap and transform the front fender of a vehicle using color change film with tools and material from Rvinyl and tips and tricks from the Wrap Institute.